Feeling constantly overwhelmed as a dad, you're not alone. Today, I'm diving into how training isn't just about staying fit, it's a powerful tool to help you mentally reset, handle stress, and show up stronger for your family. Welcome back to the Hybrid Athlete Dad Podcast. Super excited to have you here today to be tuning into the show. And in today's episode, we're going to be going over the mental benefits of training for dads who feel overwhelmed. Now, before I get into today's episode, I like to go over anything fitness, nutrition, anything in my life that I think that you may find interesting. So, hopping right into today's episode, wife and I were on the couch last Saturday. It was raining, it wasn't a great day. We were just watching some television. We were getting ready in a little bit. We were going to go out and celebrate our anniversary. Our or my mother-in-law was taking our daughter for the night, so we just had some downtime before we were going to go out to dinner for our anniversary. So we're sitting there. I think we were just watching the Memorial, the golf tournament, and next thing I know, I look out in the backyard, and there is a bear in our yard. So definitely did not expect to see a bear walking through our yard. But I will say I do know that the bear was close by, on the sense that we have ring. So I'll get a ring update, say the bear is X, distance away, and it was showing that the bear was zero point 0.2 miles away. So, like, okay, that's fairly close. And I believe it was last Tuesday or Wednesday. I believe last Tuesday, I came back from the gym and I noticed that our trash barrel had been knocked over, the bags had been ripped, the food that we had thrown out had been half eaten. So I was like, this trash barrel was fairly heavy. I don't think a raccoon could knock it over. And was thinking that it's a bear, and then of course we end up seeing the bear. Pretty, I wouldn't say he was massive or she, whatever the bear may be, but it was definitely a big bear, probably a couple 100 pounds. So definitely interesting to see walking through your yard, and it was interesting. So I'm looking out my living room window, and I see this bear walking through our yard. Now, down the side of the road is a neighborhood that I like to run in, and it's probably like 0.08 miles. So, really, really not that long of a distance. And at the stop sign right there, there's a gentleman, and he's walking in the neighborhood, and he's turning around, and he's, going back through the neighborhood. But you can you can see this gentleman, and he's probably not seeing the bear because, I mean, who's really looking out for a bear when you're walking through a residential neighborhood? He's not looking for the bear. But on the other end, I can see the bear looking at him, and I'm like, just praying that this bear doesn't take off after this gentleman walking through the neighborhood. Like, I don't think I'm capable of fighting a bear. I don't think that most people would be capable of fighting a bear or wrangling a bear. Maybe a dog, depending on the size of the dog, but definitely not a bear. And I'm not trying to witness someone get attacked by a bear um, on the weekend or at any point in time, really. But luckily, the bear saw him, and I think the bear was more afraid of him than he would have been of the bear. The bear just turned around and ran back into the woods right next to our house. So that was Saturday. That was an interesting encounter. But hopefully, the goal is that was cool one time. Don't want to bring the bear back too often. Don't want to be out there mowing the yard or pushing my daughter on the swing set, and out comes the bear from the woods. So hopefully that was just a one-time thing. So that was an interesting Saturday. Friday went off, did a long run. Was a little bit harder than I expected. I had taken a week off from leg day, did leg day last week, did squats for the first time in quite a while, legs feeling good. And on this long run, it's the it's the hardest route I could choose, or one of the harder routes I should say, on a long run. So really the hard part about it is, I mean, obviously you don't know exactly where I live or what this looks like, but I'm going in about a mile, a little over a mile, and I have a steep hill I go up. So I go up the steep hill, and then you get to the top of it, it has another incline, So you go over that incline, and then, it's straight for a little bit, and then now now the road's going a little hilly up and down. Nothing that bad. No real big hills. But then you get to this road that I'm going down, that I'm going to be running down, and then it's sort of like my turnaround point. So you start to run down the road, get a little bit ways down, you have a steep uphill, and then steep downhill, steep uphill again, and then it flattens out. And then you get to this farm. And for about a half mile, it's just a steady, straight, uphill run. And you run up it. And then you take this little side street. It's very short. It's probably like less than a quarter of a mile long. Then I take a left there. I come off to another street. We're talking about 0.75, just straight up a hill. It was super hot. The legs were shot, but I was like, I'm not gonna walk. I mean, I have to I have to really be injured to walk on a 10-mile run. Hasn't happened before. The goal is that it'll never happen. And then I come off that road. I'm about 2.5 miles from the house. Now I have to go up another, steep, steady incline hill, and then I get right near the school where I'm at, and I'm 8.5 miles in, and it's just like this biggest hill that I gotta climb. And then you get to the top of it, and then there's just more hills. It's just steady, straight incline. I have to climb this really big hill. And then the last mile when I'm running back towards my house, it's just a steady incline all the way. So was definitely wasn't easy, but glad I went through it. I like to push myself and was able to go out there and get it done. Something I've noticed, and I want to attribute it to the warmer weather, where I just feel better out there running. I feel as though my mile times are getting faster. Right now, I'm running like an easy, comfortable pace is like 8:30, 8:40 minute miles. Not that that's that fast compared to some folks, but for me, I was always trying to get about like 9-minute miles, 9:15, and then have dropped at about 20 to 30 seconds per mile. And again, I don't know the exact reasoning. I stopped taking Endo Pump in the gym, which was a BPN supplement, and I started having electrolytes in the morning. Instead, I have new running shoes, which are the Clifton 10s instead of the Clifton 9s. But honestly, I feel like it's got to be the warmer weather. I mean, there'd be times where I'm going out in the winter, it's 10 degrees, and my legs they just never get warm. They never get that elasticity, so I can really push myself. Where now when I'm running, when it's, at least in this part of New York, 60, 70 degrees, I find 2 or 3 miles in, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go, and now I can start going. Fast. So have noticed it. And again, I don't know whether it's taking a different supplement, whether it's the new running shoes, whether it's the weather, whether it's just a combination of all three of them, but definitely has been great being able to get some of my mile times down. Now, I want to hop into today's episode and the importance on the mental benefits of training for dads who feel overwhelmed. I believe that we all have these common pressures, whether it could be work, it could be family responsibilities, it could be lack of sleep. Maybe you have an identity shift in what you're looking to do. So it could be someone where you're working a job and there's just a lot going on. It's stressful. Maybe you feel unfulfilled. And then you have your family responsibilities, maybe to your wife, to your kids, however that may be. Maybe you feel as though you're not showing up enough. Is it the lack of sleep where you're trying to get everything in a day and maybe have a little bit of time for yourself and you're only getting in 5 to 6 hours of sleep, so you wake up irritable and not on the top of your game the next day? And then maybe it's just an identity shift where whatever's going on in your life, you're like, this just isn't for me anymore. This isn't what I want to be doing anymore. And just coming to that realization, like I want to be doing just something different. And I think that's even something that myself has been going through for probably the last couple of months or so, where it's more so just working the job that I have going on and just more or less realizing, like, is this all that there is to it? Like me working this like corporate gig and just and just having these like deadlines and these meetings and just wondering, like, there's just got to be more to it. Like, these companies that I work for, they'll get on you, and you realize like these companies do billions of dollars in revenue. Like, why am I killing myself and not having as much time with my family just to progress some of these companies that I work for? And obviously, you want to do a good job in your job, and but for me, it hasn't been that fulfilling. But at the end of the day, I can't just live on hopes and dreams. There has to be some sort of plan of action there, and something that could be rewarding. So what I've done is I literally just started the process on it, so there's not too much going on, but I'm like, I just want to feel like I'm making an impact, and I feel like at my job I'm just making a paycheck. I'm not making an impact, and that's not necessarily a place that I want to be in. And obviously this is a more of a fitness and workout podcast, but just going through what's going on. So have signed up to be a volunteer at our local ambulance service. So the goal is to potentially become an EMT at some point, where I don't know if I want to do that, become like a full-time EMT, but right now just more or less volunteer like 1 to 2 nights per week, and then go through the EMT training, where at least I feel like I'm making a difference, I'm impacting people. So that's something that's like obviously like really scary, is just making that shift. Like I've never done something like that, but I want to be able to make an impact. So it can be overwhelming when there is a lot going on, and just realizing, okay, like I have to be the one to make a change. But then you also, again, you can feel the common pressures again, which are, work, it's family responsibilities, it's lack of sleep, it's, even your identity shift. And some days it just feels like there's just never enough time for yourself, where I'm getting up in the morning and I'm going to the gym and I'm working out and I'm coming home, taking care of our daughter, then I'm working, then dinner, and everything in between, and realizing like sometimes it's just easy to feel overwhelmed. And I want to acknowledge that there there can be a certain degree of guilt sometimes. At least I feel like on my end, for wanting time to train, and this can be true when my daughter is up on the weekends or when she's home. So I try to do my best to more or less dismiss that guilt. And there's not like my wife saying like, hey, you can't work out when our daughter's home, or my daughter's saying like, hey, can you spend time with me and not work out. It's more or less just for me that when my daughter's home, like I want to be with her. I don't want to necessarily be training when she's home. But there are times where I do have to train when she's home, but realizing like this is only a short period of time. So to give an example of something that I might try to switch up, would be like last Monday, it was or last week, it was Memorial Day, and my daughter was off from daycare, and typically on Mondays I run 5 miles. So at the end of my workout, I got up a little early. I ended up running 3 miles on the treadmill at the gym, so that when I came home, I only had to run 2 miles. So instead of me being gone for 45 minutes, I was gone for 18 minutes. So I just try to make some of those sacrifices. Well, yeah, I don't necessarily always want to split up my running like that, but on this instance where I want to be able to spend more time with my daughter, then maybe I do make that little split, and I split up the distance, or I split up how much I'm running depending on, what time of the day. Now, here's where training comes in, where I find that even if you do find yourself being overwhelmed, that the endorphins and the stress relief that you get from training is just absolutely amazing. I don't know the exact reasoning behind it. I just know that if I'm feeling down, if I'm not feeling like myself, if I'm feeling overwhelmed, if I'm feeling stressed, sometimes working out is a stress. Sometimes going for a run is a stress, where the time is tight. I don't have a lot of time to run, or I don't have a lot of time in my day, but I know I want to get this run in. I can tell you that every time I do the workout, every time that I do the run, I just come back feeling just so much better than I had been before. So sometimes it's just picking yourself up, and it's getting to the gym and just making sure that you get that workout in. It's it's almost like having a built-in mental reset, where just your consistent movement clears mental fog. Some of the best ideas I get are while I'm out on my run. Some of the best ideas I get are while I'm at the gym. Maybe I'm deciding, okay, like what should I be doing next in my career? What should I be doing next when it comes to racing? What should I be doing next when it comes to handling a a situation with my daughter and trying to figure out like what's the best way to handle something. And that's where sometimes doing those workouts in where you just get that mental clarity and and it really just clears the fog that comes into your brain. I would say that training as structure, it just allows you to have that great structure when your day is chaotic, where you have that predictability. And for me, that just means more peace of mind. I know that as soon as I get online for the day for work, any number of things could happen. I know that once I drop my daughter off at daycare, who knows what could happen? Maybe she gets sent home because she's not feeling well, or any number any number of reasons. But I know that I'm able to get my workout done early in the morning before the day really starts, that even if the day as unpredictable as it can be, which it always is unpredictable, that I know that at least I got my workout in. I controlled the day, that if things come up that are outside my control, which typically do happen in a given week or in a given day, that at least I know that I was able to get that workout in today. And really, training just helps me to build confidence outside the gym and just builds that momentum in life. Like, let's say something goes wrong at work or our internet crashes like it did last week for a little bit. Or maybe I'm flustered for whatever reason. I just know that like okay, like I did something that was really hard this morning, and no matter what happens today, it's not going to be as hard as me going to the gym. I can guarantee you, me answering emails or client calls nothing does not compare to me going and doing Bulgarian split squats immediately after doing squats. In nothing can compare. Nothing can compare to that. Nothing can compare to doing deadlifts or bench press or something, incline dumbbell curls, something, and doing and holding a concentration at the top for 1 to 2 seconds. Like nothing, nothing will be as hard during my day as that workout. If I'm going off and doing a 10-mile run in the morning, same thing. Nothing is going to be harder that day than me doing the 10-mile run. Now, when it comes to the training, there's been weeks, there's just been tough times where just getting into the gym just really helped me. And there can be stressful times at work. There can be stressful times with our daughter where maybe she's not sleeping well, maybe she's sick, maybe at work there's just a lot of asks coming in, and you only have so much time in a given day where I don't want to be working past the time that my daughter gets home. And just really training, just it helps me save my mindset where like I'm going 100 miles a minute, like okay, I got to do this, I have 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 to do this, and it's going in all these different directions. But just training was like going to the gym, getting the workout in, and it's just like it's a sense of calm. And I hope that if you're someone that's considering going to the gym or working out, or if you are someone that you can understand what where I'm coming from, that you have all this so much going on in your life and it's easy to feel overwhelmed when you're in the gym for just like an hour or 45 minutes and it's just you and it's in the bar and the exercise at hand. I noticed that mentally I've it's been awesome. The benefit have just been from staying consistent of going to the gym whether I feel like it or not. Some days there's Sometimes, I mean, some weeks there's times where I'm like, I can't wait to go to the gym. I can't wait to go for this run. Other weeks, it's a lot. I'm like, I don't want to get up and deadlift. Like, that's not gonna be fun. I don't want to go out and do this 10-mile run today. Like, I know how I'm gonna feel after that 10-mile run, but I know I just have to be consistent. And every time I feel that way, where I don't feel like doing a workout or I don't feel like doing a run, I notice that every time I do it, I just feel so much better, and I'm just so glad that I did that workout. And my message for other dads who said, I would say messages I've received not said, messages I received from other dads have also said that training helps them show up better. Wow, I really butchered that segment right there. But when speaking to other folks that are also parents that are overwhelmed, they can concur, they can agree. I don't know if concur is too big of a word there, but they can agree that training helps them to show up better in every area of their life. Now, when it comes to training, I want you to make it work without adding significant stress to your life. Sometimes it's stressful. I have to go out and do a 10-mile run today because that's what I do every other week is I do a 10-mile run on Fridays. And maybe there's just a lot going on that week and I haven't had the time to go out there, or I have a lot going on in my job and my side hustle and my family. Maybe, again, my daughter's been sick, or who knows what's going on. It's like now I'm like, I am stressed about getting this run in because I know that this run, even though 10 miles is only about an hour and a half, at least for me, when I go out and I run 10 miles, me coming back to work and sit down and work, like it takes a little bit. It takes about an hour, another hour and a half to really get that mental clarity back. This doesn't mean that I don't do any work, but I need a little bit of time to decompress after doing this run. So sometimes you have your non-negotiables where it's like, I gotta get this in. Like is it me just listening to the voice in my head that's like, oh, I don't want to do it? Or is it me like I just don't have the time to do this? And more often than not, it's the little voice in my head that is saying like, oh, I just don't want to do this, and me having to show up and get it done anyway. Sometimes it's just doing what's manageable. So it's maybe I don't have time for, let's just say, an hour and a half workout in the gym. So like as an example, so like let's say if I was doing, let's say leg day. So right now my leg day exercises that I do, it's squat, Bulgarian split squats, leg press, Romania deadlifts, leg prone curls, and calf raises. So that takes me, a decent amount of time. So maybe I'm just going to do like one quad. So I'm just going to do squats, and then I'm going to do Romanian deadlifts. I'm going to do calf raises. So I take my workout, I get rid of two quad focus sort of exercises, and I get rid of another hamstring focus exercise. So I cut my workout in half. So instead of this workout taking an hour, it's going to take 30 minutes because that's all I have time to get in today. Now, I don't want to be doing that every week, but every so often, I don't think it's that bad of a thing to just be like, okay, like what are the big exercises that I want to get done in today's workout? Something again that I talk about frequently, but is making the workout work when it works best for my family. So whether that's me working out before my daughter is awake, or me working out after my daughter is awake, or after she goes to bed. I think that's a better way to put that. For me, I just like working out early in the morning before my daughter gets up. I know some folks prefer working out later at night, whatever your preference is, and really whatever works best for you, but just sticking to a schedule, whether that's in the early morning, whether that's later at night, maybe it's in the middle of the day, depending on your job or what you do, but just sticking to that consistency of when you're going to go out there and when you're going to be working out. Your training doesn't have to be perfect, like I just described, where there was a time where I had to, cut my leg workout in half, and I do and this isn't just legs. I know I talked about last week where I hadn't done them the week prior, and I had done them last week. This isn't to say like I want to skip out on legs and cut my workout short every single week, but sometimes there's this could be biceps, it could be my biceps and arms workout, it could be my shoulders, back, and triceps workout, but it's just being consistent and showing up to the gym. And I know like if I'm going to the gym consistently and you do the math, let's say on average I go 5 days a week, 52 weeks a year. Let's just make it simple. Let's say 50. So we're talking 250 workouts. And out of the 250, 225 are awesome, excellent workouts that exactly what I needed to do. And then you have those 25 where just something was going on in my life where I just had to change it up a little bit. Like, that's still being very, very consistent. Sometimes it's just about incorporating your kids if you want them to. Maybe that's doing an at-home workout that you can find online. Maybe it's doing a where you're running with the stroller. I've thought about that for my daughter. I've I've considered it. I don't know how far I'd want to go. My worry is I start running with her and she's like, "Oh, like get me out of here," and I'm like too far from the house. So debating on debating on that. But maybe it is having your kids watch, or maybe it's having your kids interact. Our daughter's too, so she doesn't really know too much of what's going on at the moment. I will say she's definitely very smart. But if I was going home and I was doing like an at-home workout with weights, she probably wouldn't understand too much of what's going on. But maybe your son or daughter is a little bit older and you can incorporate them in the workouts and you can have a good experience. I know that I was driving a few weekends ago and I noticed his father and his son, I don't know, maybe 8, 9, 10, not good on the ages, but they were running together in the neighborhood. So maybe as your kids get older, you can start to introduce them more into fitness that way. Now, I want to give you some encouragement if you are a dad that is just finding themselves overwhelmed, that you don't need to do it all. Just start small. Maybe it's starting to go to the gym a few days a week, starting to get a few runs in. Just knowing that other people are there for you and that you don't have to do it all on your own. That your family benefits when you take care of yourself. For me, like, not like a worry, but I know, like, I personally don't want to be a father that if my daughter wants to play in the yard, that I can't run after her, or I can't pick her up, or easily out of breath, or it's embarrassing when I go to pick her up from a school event. Like, I want to be fit and I want to be in shape and I want to have the best appearance that I can have. I don't want to have a dad bod. I've talked about that before in different episodes, but I want to be in the best shape that I can be for for her. And then the benefits that I get are, the word I'm looking for is you get obviously the mental, you get the physical, but like just the overall health benefits where the goal is to live longer. I can spend more time with my daughter. My body is better taken care of, and the more that it's taken care of, the hopefully the longer that I will live and the more time that I can spend with her. Training is more than physical. It's just an anchor in fatherhood. I think every father out there should be working out in some form or fashion, whether that's maybe it's someone like myself that runs and lifts, maybe it's just lifting, maybe it's just running, maybe it's biking, who knows, maybe it's swimming, whatever it may be. You want to be that inspiration to your kid and you want them to look up to you. It's just it's about doing a physical activity and just being that inspiration for your kid. Now, I really hope you enjoyed today's episode on the mental benefits of training for dads who feel overwhelmed. Now, next week's episode, I'm going to touch on this topic a little bit further, which is how to reignite your fire when you feel burned out. Thanks so much for tuning into today's episode, and I hope you tune into next week's episode as well.